This week's demonstration is brought to you in association with busymits.com, the online craft social network.
Hello, welcome to the Crafts channel. I'm Chelsea Clark and this is Corinne Bradd, and today Corinne's going to show us how to antique a mirror. Now that sounds interesting.
Yeah, well, there's a surge of interest in this. It's you know when you get a mirror and it's an old mirror and the silvering's starting to come off the back and there's specks in it. Well, here's a way of doing it to a brand new mirror, but doing it how you want it to silver, you know, not how it would appear, because we like to leave the central part so it's still usable as a mirror.
Okay.
I mean, we've got this mirror here. I don't know if you can see this.
That is lovely.
And what we've done is we've rubbed the backing off the mirror, and then we've covered the back of the mirror with a piece of fabric, and then covered the frame to match. So I'm going to show you how to take the backing off your mirror. Mirrors are different, lots of mirrors are different. Someone said to me that especially if it's a mirror that's designed for the bathroom, it's got a much tougher backing on it.
Right.
There are various agents you can use to take the silvering off the back of a mirror. I've used oven cleaner on mirrors before. I've used a paint stripper on this mirror. Wear rubber gloves, make sure the room is well ventilated because this stuff is really quite solvent. And all I've done is I've taken it, it's like a jelly-based paint stripper.
Right.
I've taken it and I've just sponged it around the edge of a mirror. This grey-backed mirror is the type that you find in bathrooms.
Right, and that's quite tough, is it?
Yeah, tough background, because obviously there's a lot of water in bathrooms and they don't want the silvering to come off it. These slightly older, sort of ready, you know, rust-coloured backgrounds are much, much easier to take off. So I'm just going to wipe clean one area of this. And then I'm just going to show you, hopefully this one is soft enough that I can get it off just purely with a washing up sponge.
Okay.
So you just, with a circular motion, and you can see it's just starting to come off. Give it another good rub. And actually water is quite good. Water helps it rub down. And the silvering. You do need a fair bit of elbow grease. I mean, it's not something you can instantly just wipe over with a washing up sponge and it comes off. But the other nice thing is with paint stripper, because of the jelly, you know, because when you daub it on, you've got different thicknesses of paint stripper on there. It's coming off in a very organic way. I'm wondering if this washing up sponge is so old now. Let's try a new one. I tell you, my kitchen is full of cut up washing up sponges in various stages of...
Yeah, mine do. They turn into all sorts of different things.
So that silvering's coming off quite nicely there.
Lovely, yeah.
If you can see that. You will need a good scrub. But this sponge, I can guarantee, will not work on this mirror because it's got a much thicker background. Now, if this works really well, I'm going to look really stupid, aren't I? But, yeah, it's not really having it. There's a couple of places where obviously the paint stripper has been much thicker. But what I do use instead of that, not sandpaper. I've used sandpaper on mirrors before and it does scratch the glass. And although when you've put the fabric over the back of it, you don't see it so much. But this is one of these like foam sanding pads, and I believe it's like an aluminium oxide.
Okay.
So it's not sand.
No.
But again, with a bit of elbow grease.
You can see it starting to come away.
You can see it starting to come away. Really, you need to leave your paint stripper on the back of the mirror for about sort of 20-25 minutes for it to really sink in.
Okay.
You can say, I think I've said before, you can use oven cleaner. It's a matter of trial and error. But if you keep sanding it and you keep wetting it and you keep washing it off, the end result should be something like this. And if you would just excuse me a second while I move these mirrors out of the way before I drop them. Give myself large amounts of bad luck. Your end result, I can take the rubber glove now, should be a mirror and the backing has come off it like this.
That's great.
So I don't know if I can see that to the camera. And in fact, actually, you can see right through it.
You can actually, can't you? Yeah, you can.
So that's your end result. Make sure you've washed off all your paint stripper, make sure you've got rid of all the rest of the backing. Give it a good clean. And then what we do, let's take rid of this towel. I'm going to cover this with a piece of fabric. I'm going to use this piece of fabric here. There's ample fabric here. Yeah, that will fit on there beautifully. Get some trusty PVA and a sponge. And I've found the best way of applying large amounts of PVA to something like this.
Well, that's certainly easy, isn't it?
Giving it a good old...
That's great.
You don't want too thick a layer of PVA.
No.
And you do need to go over the whole of the mirror because you really want the material to stay nice and taut and not to wrinkle up.
Oh, that's great.
So give it a good coating, but say not too thick. The other thing I tend to do is then pounce all over it, especially in these areas, so that when it dries, you know, if you have got too much PVA, then sometimes it will wrinkle the fabric, but doing this, it gives it a nice matte finish, yeah? Take your piece of fabric, let's just move that before I drag the fabric in there, and lay it over the back of your mirror. You don't need to press the fabric, because I rarely iron anything.
All right. That's going flat like that anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. Just ease it, ease the creases out of it. And then just before, I think I've got a bit of paper here, yeah. Give it a good rub over. Put a piece of paper over the top of it so you're not actually disturbing the fabric. And then you can give it a good rub over, like this.
Good workout too, that is.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, actually, after you've scrubbed mirrors for preparation work, you can't lift your arm after a while.
Oh, well, I'm sure the end result's worth that.
Right, if we just turn the mirror over.
Wow.
Oh, nearly broke that.
That's so amazing.
So you can see the pattern of the fabric through where you've taken the step, but it's very subtle.
Yeah.
You know, it's very vintage.
Oh, so vintage, and it's still usable, which is...
Yeah, yeah, well this is it, the main part of it.
These areas that come through so subtly and then it builds up. Oh, it's really lovely.
If you use a craft knife, if you normally use a craft knife for paper, I suggest you put a clean blade in it, just like with your scissors. You know, don't cut paper with your fabric scissors because it will blunt the scissors. And it's the same with a scalpel blade. And I just use the edge of the glass as my guideline for cutting.
Perfect.
There you go.
Wow.
And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let this dry, move the mirrors into a safe place, and then we'll show how to decorate the frame.
Okay, that's great. Well, thanks for that, Corinne. And I look forward to learning how to do the frame in part 2. So thanks for tuning in and look forward to seeing you in part 2.